By now, you've heard the story. On Sunday, at approximately 10:08 p.m., Stephen Paddock, a 64-year-old Nevada native, opened fire on innocent men and women. This heinous and soulless act is now responsible for the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. With over 59 people dead and over 500 people wounded, it is truly moments like this that we as Americans realize that it's not about race, political differences. It's not about anything except we as Americans are together as one people. It's times like these that we as Americans who weren't affected offer our prayers and condolences to those who have lost or those that are hurting in this senseless tragedy. It's times like these that we act like real Americans. But unfortunately, that's not the case. In fact, it took very little time at all for political agendas, racial division to take place of what should have been condolences and prayers for those affected. People like Hillary Clinton took no time in pushing their political agendas against the NRA, stating, imagine how much worse the casualties would have been if silencers had been used. Now, no one's debating the fact that the gun laws are probably going to be debated in this situation, but to take it upon yourself that that is your first thing that you push in the light of this situation shows where Hillary Clinton's real agenda lies. This, of course, goes with the left logic that more gun laws will prohibit non-law-abiding citizens from obtaining guns illegally. The fact that they're non-law-abiding citizens means they do not care what kind of laws that you think you need to implement in relation to gun rights. If you implement more gun laws, the only people that won't have guns are gun law-abiding citizens. I wish I could say that it ended there, in a simple political debate about gun laws. But unfortunately, racial division is also in place here. These are real responses from real people. This one response basically says that white people killing white people is not a terrorist attack, it is a community outreach. This one basically states that because country music fans are primarily Trump supporters, this is simply the way that it should be. And by now, most of you have heard about Haley Gaffman Gold from CBS, who said that she's not sympathetic in the least because most country music listeners are Republican gun toters. As horrible as these responses are, I think it points to a much deeper problem within our society. Instead of focusing on the people that were affected, we have become so numb to tragedies in our country that we no longer feel the way that we should feel. Instead of talking about the tragedy itself, or our brave men and women in our first responders that gave and put their life on the line to protect and go into the gunfire and save more people from dying than already did. Instead, we would rather take a tragedy, and instead of looking at ourselves internally of what the real problems are, we simply want to make Facebook statuses. We simply want to trend and go viral because we want to push our individual narratives of what we think is right and what we think is wrong. I could say that I'm a Republican, or that I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I could say that I'm a gun holder myself, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go against the narrative and talk about the things that really need to be talked about. Much like Quentin Robbins, who was only 20 years old, Rachel Parker, a 10-year police veteran, Sandy Casey, a special education teacher, Susan Smith, a teacher for over 16 years, Charleston Hartfield, an off-duty Las Vegas police officer, Angie Gomez, who just graduated in 2015, Rhonda LaRoque, a mother from Massachusetts, Jennifer Irvin, a criminal defense lawyer, Jenny Parks, whose husband was also shot but survived, was a kindergarten teacher, John Phippen, whose son remains hospitalized after also being shot, Thomas Day Jr., a father of 4, names like Jack Beaton, who was killed covering his wife to protect her from the gunfire, truly sacrificing himself and reminding us what real love looks like. There is a time and a place to say where you stand. There is a time and a place to express your individual opinions of what you think has happened why it happened, and what we should do about it. But it is more importantly our job to be human and reach out and love those that are affected. Somewhere along the way, we as Americans lost that. And it's about time that we get it back. So allow me to speak for America when I say, to those affected and to those hurt and to those family members who lost loved ones in the horrible and senseless tragedy in Las Vegas, our thoughts and our prayers are with you. At the end of the day, the question comes down to, what are you going to do, America? Are you going to help lead to the answers, or are you going to continue to add to the problems? I'm Graham Allen. God bless America, and I'll see you again next time.